Man, I almost forgot that I need to do this episode. Listen, I know it's Friday, and I know many of you want to get out of the office, but listen, before you do, listen to what Sara has to share on this episode, because I absolutely promise you, it's going to help you make some money. In the meantime, I'm getting ready to get out of here, but listen to this one. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of the Sales Evangelist Podcast. I'm your host, Donald C. Kelly, the Sales Evangelist, and I'm so excited for another great episode. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And on this episode, I have the one and only Miss Sara Plowman on the podcast. And Sara, she is killing it right now. She's over at Pareto, and they're an organization that help you find talent and also help you to enable them, give you the proper training and guidance. So you can find out more information about Sara. She's killing it right now on platforms such as TikTok, where she shares a lot of her tips, and she does a lot of cold calling, as well as you can find her on LinkedIn as well. And the advice that she gives are relevant, super relevant to anyone that's in the game right now. Today's episode, she's going to share with us one of her secrets that's helping her on Fridays. That's all I'm going to tell you. Now, if this is your first time checking out our podcast, here's what I'd like for you to do. Go ahead and subscribe, because we're going to notify you every single time we're dropping dope episode. And today is, for instance, we talk about top of the funnel ideas. Most of our content is really falling into one of those two buckets: top of the funnel, or helping you close deals, whether that's increasing velocity or helping you close at a higher rate. And the strategies and ideas work, but you got to apply them for them to work. In this episode, Sara again share with you what she's doing right now to book more appointments, and I know you're going to like it. Let's dive in and check it out.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to have you here. It was fun participating on that webinar with you with Sell Better. So ever since our convo there, I was like, Sara got some dope stuff. We got to get her on the show. And cold calling, cold outreach, we know it's something that people are afraid of, but not you. Yeah. And I want to get into your brain and figure out why you're so not afraid of it, what works for you, and some wisdom you can impart. But if you don't mind taking a second, I bragged about you for a little bit there. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and all that fun stuff?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a senior business development manager, 5 years coming up in August, which I'm really excited about. It's kind of crazy, time flies. But I've been in sales since I graduated college at Pareto specifically. So been here through and through. And I pretty much focus on new business and bringing in new logos to the organization. So a lot of people mistake me as an SDR. I'm not really targeted as an SDR anymore, because that was kind of way back when, 4 years ago when I started. But I still do all of like the cold outreach as a full sales cycle rep. So I do everything from the actual cadence of calling people like an SDR, booking the meeting like an SDR, but then I also go in the meetings that I make. I run the meetings, I close the deals, and then I actually manage those accounts as well. So I kind of wear a lot of hats, but been working my way up to basically be a full sales cycle rep.
What are your feelings on that? Do you feel that you like full cycle process better, or the traditional AE model where BDR does some of the work and AE?
It's a really good question. I think it's like based on preference, to be quite honest with you. We have a guy, Ben, who I'm really good friends with at our organization as well. And he has a few SDRs under him, and he was really motivated by managing and having them book the meetings. And he also does his own new business as well. But I just love outbound and like the hunting side of things, and I'm just all over it all the time. So I think it really just depends what you're motivated by, but I definitely see both work in different organizations, just depending on the personality and who's really kind of going after it, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's so true. That hunt is fun, and I really love that. So this is where we want to
lead yourself. It's like you just want to keep going.
Yeah, it's. I remember the first time I did it. It was like it was somebody, none of us knew. No one in the organization knew, right? And all of a sudden, it's like this person is in contract with us, and I was like, "What? It's like it just felt so good." And in college,
I did. It's like addicting. You're like, "Oh my god, I want to do it again."
Yeah, and I did door-to-door sales. Ben, our mutual friend, who did that once. I did it one summer in college, and that was straight up like addicting. It was tough, but it was addicting because you got one door. You're like, can I get another one? Like, is there another one in this neighborhood? Like today. But it was dope. But you, Sara, cold calling is something that comes natural for you. You do it well, and you have tons of content. And I'm going to push people towards that. I'm not going to go into like, cold calling fundamentals or cold calling 101. I'll push them to some of your videos and some of the content you have on LinkedIn. And we have that in the show notes. But today in particular, you have something. It's summertime. So I'm out here with my Pollo Tropical. Anybody knows South Florida? Had some rice and beans and chicken. And I'm chilling here in the summertime. So speaking of summertime, you have a summertime secret that you're taking advantage of, and it's working.
I do.
Spill the tea. Spill the tea.
I sure do. If you've seen me on a podcast before, you've definitely heard me talk about Friday cold calling. But now, more than ever, 'tis the season. We're in summer Friday cold calling season. Now, let me tell you why this is such a good day to call in the summer. Because on Fridays, I don't know about you guys, but we have summer Fridays. So starting at 3 o'clock, Pareto is out of the office. We are at happy hour early. We are headed to our weekend destination for the summer. And that means a lot of other companies are as well. And sometimes companies even wrap it up, or CEOs, C-suite level executives will wrap it up around 12, 1 o'clock. They're taking their family down the shore from the East Coast or out east on Long Island. And they are not opposed to hearing you out on a cold call because they're in such a good mood. Maybe they've already had a drink or two and they understand the ground. So honestly, cold calling from I would say anytime on a Friday morning to early afternoon is prime time to catch a sales leader. They're in a good mood. They're ready to rock. They're ready for the weekend. They don't necessarily mind taking your cold call, in my opinion.
So how did you discover it though? Was it just from watching internally at your organization or making some of these phone calls?
Yes. So pretty much making these phone calls, right? So a few summers ago, it was obviously COVID and I was working from home and it was really, really tough. So, cold calling alone in your house, for those of you who could relate to that, during quarantine was probably the lowest of lows, about being really honest with you, Donald. But I just started to realize there was a summer, it was summer 2021. And I was, oh my God, I'm booking so many meetings on Fridays. I would book 5 a day and I'd be the star of the show at Pareto. It'd be wrapping up the week, shout out Sara, she booked 5 meetings today. And everyone's what's going on? And I started actually asking sales leaders on the call, I've pitched and booked the meeting. I'm hold on one second, out of curiosity, what are you doing this weekend? And they're oh, I'm already in the car going to XYZ, or oh, I'm just family closing out the last few bits of the week and I'm headed out, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed that everyone's in a really good mood and it's summer and a lot of them mentioned summer Fridays. And I was you know what? I think Friday is really the prime time to call because everyone's winding down and they're making sure that they're getting their work done from Monday to Thursday, and they're pulling some loose strings together at the end of the week. And if they get a call here and there, they're willing to take it.
Yeah, I really like that that idea of making it's not you. They're in a good mood, so you're in a good mood, and it makes your conversation totally natural, right? Because you're just asking them, hey, what are you doing this weekend? And everybody's willing to spill it. Before we started this conversation, we just did that, where we were talking about what happened this past weekend, right? Because everybody just loves that, and I think that's so natural and so good about that. Why do you feel?
It's
Why do you feel so many people have a hard time though when it comes to cold calling on Friday? When it comes to the seller standpoint?
Do you mean from the caller standpoint? Why it might be difficult?
Yeah, from a caller standpoint, because I get that. I see the dread sometimes. We're oh man, well, I'm ready to get out of here. I don't want to make any calls. Or we might impose the idea saying, well, people are not in an office, so I'm not even going to do anything. I'm just gonna go into CRM and update stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a challenge. Don't get me wrong. I think the last thing any seller wants to do on a Friday is give a go at some cold calls. But for me personally, there's no better way than just giving it a go and ending the week on a high. So that's always kind of my motivation. So, I'll just say, let me bang out 1 hour, don't let anything else distract me, and hopefully book a meeting. And then you're going into the weekend having booked a really good meeting, and it's the best feeling ever. And I think it also just shows too, it's at the end of the day, you're in sales because you're money motivated. You like to be recognized, let's not lie. And you like rewards. So if you're pushing out, writing those calls, and you're the only one on your team that's doing it on Friday, you're the only one booking meetings on a Friday, you're going to look like the better rep at the end of the day, right? And I think all of us are competing to be the number one rep in sales. If you're not competitive, you shouldn't be in sales, right? So I think just going out on a high, proving that to your boss, your team, or even yourself is such a great way to end the entire week.
Yeah, I think I always love that. My best secret, when I'm a student, my best example of this Friday secret was I called into an IT director. It was like the end of the day. It was like a Friday, and dude totally answered. I don't think he would have answered Monday because IT people are so swamped and just throughout the week. But he was like straight up like willing to chat, and we had probably like a good 15-minute conversation before he wrapped up, and he booked the appointment, literally closed the deal. It was one of the fastest closing deals velocity wise concerned, because it was just like he was ready and perfect and everything, but it came literally on that Friday, on that afternoon, hitting him up at that point. What are some of the things that you can tell us if we want to try this practice, if I want to try a Friday outreach practice?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said it before we started, down, right? I'm kind of like a person that's like never in the office, because I just like when people ask me a question, I'm like, just do it. Like literally just do it. I would say, like, just rip it, just do it. So sometimes that could come across as like, oh, I don't care about like the organizational side of things, like literally just rip it. But honestly, it's kind of true. You're never going to know how it works out for you unless you try it. Like honestly, take this as a sign on this upcoming Friday, get your 10, 20 hottest leads and give them a call from 11 to 1 on Friday. Let me know how it goes. Seriously, just go.
So here's the other thing. Sarah's literally the second person today that gave such advice. So you know Vin, obviously. And guys, we're linking to Vin's episode. You can find information on that in the show notes here. But Vin, he and I were talking, and one of the things that he mentioned was that he's not using outreach sequence as much anymore. Like he uses a sequence, but the sequence is really just to help him to stay organized as far as who is there, who's opened up the emails, or who's whatnot. He's a big email focused person. But as far as like, I got to send this one on this particular day, he's like, bro, I just do it. And his advice was for somebody brand new, you need the training wheel, so to speak. So do it. He's back, middle of his career, back end of, doing it for a while, for 5 years. So he has that process. And this is the same idea that I'm getting from you. It's like this idea of don't overcomplicate stuff. Just do it. And I think most people, especially, I'm not saying don't listen to my podcast, but they listen to our pod and they're looking for that. And we tease them with the title of this episode, right? A secret. They're like, okay, I got to go find this one thing. But most times, as you hear in this episode, it's not complicated. It's just doing something, right? Your experience on that?
Yeah. I mean, Vin makes such a good point, because I could definitely relate to that, because I think all the time people comment on my LinkedIn's or my TikToks and they're like, can you share the sequence or the cadence that works for you? And like, I think I actually see my next video, because truth be told, like I no longer have one. And I honestly think that's really good, because it allows me to not be a structured. And for me, if I see like a buying signal or something on LinkedIn, like I'm just zoom and focus the number call like immediately, because I have a hook, right? And it's like we always have a saying here at Pareto, it's like strike when the iron's hot. Like why wait to put that person in Salesforce, put them into a cadence that you're not going to start in 2 weeks, email them. By that time, they've already bought something else that they need to solve that problem, and you missed the opportunity. So I'm now in that point in my career where I'm like, if I see something, I'm going to strike when the iron's hot. And if I have a hook for someone, why am I waiting around 10 minute cadence? I'm literally just going to give them a call right then and there. Timing is everything within sales. And I think really you need to know when the time is right? And you're never going to know unless you actually pick up the phone and give them a call. But if you definitely see something and you know you're not going to call them for another 2 weeks because they're in that cadence that you're building for the next week, you've missed it. So I'm definitely about the just rip it, just go for it. When people ask me questions in the office, I'm like, just do it. Just do it. I'm over with that.
Yeah.
Like, what is the saying? It's like, ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Exactly. Yeah. Just, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
So say you do it and you close $100,000 deal. It's like, all right, nobody's going to question you on that.
Exactly.
Sarah broke the process.
Exactly.
RevOps might come at you, but besides that. So with that though, Sarah, go back. I want to get an example from you in a second, and we can talk through one of your case studies, like somebody that you just, that you had a successful Friday phone call, Friday outreach call with cold call. But go back to this idea again of going off the riff and being in a moment. What I like about this idea is I feel that it makes you truly genuine, because from the top, you mentioned you like to hunt. And I think for anyone that knows how to hunt, like I have a good friend and dude would ask me about barbecue and recipe. I don't really have a barbecue recipe. I'm Jamaican and I always just been around the grill and I see my family do it and I just know how to do it. Like I just do it. Like
Yeah.
I just do it. So it's like there's no exact recipe sometimes for rhyme or reason. I just kind of know what that feel needs to be like and I can look at it and see. And I think it's the same thing with true artists. So like you as a cold calling artist per se, is that right? It's just like you just go in and you just experience it. And I think for with so many of us, again, it's just being in that moment. And Sara, we talked about this at the very beginning, like the idea of the hunt, right? We love to hunt. And I feel like for many of us, especially folks like you who are just genuinely true artists at the craft, it's more like, show me the accounts that I need to get. Here are my 5 or my 20 accounts that I'm trying to get into this month. And the way I go about getting into account A may be totally different than account C. So there's no rhyme there's probably some kind of step process, but it's not like a cookie cutter. And I think that's the idea that's hard to teach to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially in the beginning of people's career, right? Because, for example, like a lot of these SDRs that are coming in have just recently graduated. So like they do need some structure, right? They don't necessarily just know how to jump in there and just go for it. So there does need to be like a sense of this is how it works. This is how you could get in touch with people. But beyond that, you're absolutely right. Like the way I sell to one account is definitely not the way I'm going to sell to all my accounts, especially because like people buy from people, right? And, I might have to sell to you one way, Donald, because I know that you like directness, you're assertive and you just want to get the outcome as quickly as possible. And you don't really want to talk about the weekend and how all the fluff of the week went and this and that, right? And then I might have another client who genuinely enjoys building rapport and she or he has gotten to know me as a person. I've gotten to know them and they like the fluff and they like the relationship piece. And I know I'm going to sell to them a little bit differently than I am to the guy or woman who said, I just need a result, Sara. Like, what can you do for me? Right. So it's absolutely true in terms of, selling to account A and B. It's slightly different. And it also goes for prospecting. People want to be prospected different. Of course, there's going to be people out there that, you cold call, you book a meeting with them and they say, honestly, great job, like really impressive. I wish my SDRs cold called like you. And then you're going to get the next person who's going to curse you out and say to never call you again. They prefer an email or this or that. So it's really about learning, but also just taking everything as a grain of salt because it's only going to help propel your success in the future.
So Sara, we all want to hear about how this all worked together. Maybe you could tell us one of your best stories. You don't have to say names, but tell us about someone or a company that you did one of your Friday cold call sessions to, and now they're a happy client.
Yeah, so I'll actually, I have some good ones, but let me think. I'll give you the most recent one. So They're not a client just yet. But I'm hoping tomorrow's meeting, we're getting a final decision. However, I cold called the CEO back in March. So not too long ago, about 2 months ago. And it was on a Friday. And again, like I would love to say, I make 60 to 90 calls a day like I used to, but I really don't anymore. So this was like a targeted. He posted that he was hiring for SDRs and I immediately saw it on LinkedIn. It said like posted 1 minute ago. And I was like, this is literally my sign. It came up on my feed. I literally gave him a call and I was like, Joe, like we need to chat. You have no idea who I am, but I just saw your LinkedIn post regarding hiring SDRs. And
hold on, you said that.
Yes. Which is even better because they're like, and he was a CEO. So like obviously had a team of SDRs as a VP of sales underneath him. And all of that I found out within about 2 minutes before calling him because it's very easy to find out on LinkedIn. So don't stress yourself out about doing like 30 minutes of research before you call someone because you really don't need that much. You just need a purpose. And that was my purpose, like literally square in the face right in front of me. So we went back and forth and he was like, love that you gave me a call. Really like respect the grind. I'm going to introduce you to my VP of sales. However, it's actually not the right time because we want to try to do this internally. So I obviously overcame that objection and the call hung up and I didn't end up booking the meeting. However, he started messaging me on LinkedIn DM asking me for like financials. And I was like, my response to him, which I still have, and now it's been on Salesforce, is you wouldn't want your SDRs discussing financials over a LinkedIn DM, would you?
No, you.
He went cold, and I was like, I blew it. I literally blew it. Long story short, literally on Thursday last week, I get an email, and the subject title was Joe intro. And I was like, where's this from? And I was like, oh my God, it's the CEO from X who I cold called. And then right after I got that email, he DM'd me on LinkedIn and said, no, I wouldn't. Told you timing was everything. My VP of sales should be in your inbox any minute. I just spoke to him about Pareto. Long story short, we met on Monday. I said long story short like 8 times. We met on Thursday.
We're keeping it short.
There's a need for 4 SDRs in Chicago, which is a great place that we work all the time. Discussed financials. It was like a 50-minute meeting. Really good, really promising. It sounds like Joe sold it pretty well internally, and they are looking to make a final decision tomorrow because they actually have their board meeting on Wednesday. So
let's go. Let's go.
It would be an awesome way to start June. So
that's pretty
all
dope.
off a Friday cold call and a little bit of patience, and it could go a long way.
And being you. Just being your personality.
Yeah, I literally said that too. Like, I'm not even being dramatic. I called him. I was like, Joe, you've never spoke to me before, but there's a reason why I'm calling you. I just saw your LinkedIn post, and this is why you need to hire me to help you find SDRs. And he was like, whoa, okay.
It's one of the big challenges that we find in our world, Sarah, is like, because we're in the sales enablement world, like I'll do like a cold calling session with some folks, or, we're on, just do calls together with their team or whatnot. And they're like, yeah, you do it so naturally. And it's like, yeah, because I just do it. Like I'm in it. And it's not being an SD and not being a professional. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, you don't have to go into, hi, my name is so-and-so, and go into this all different voice. Just be you. And the conversations that I've had with people, they feel like they're talking to a cousin or a friend. Like you just do it. And I think it's hard to explain it, but I think it comes from the competency and the confidence of doing it multiple times. So
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think it is hard to explain at the end of the day to like an SDR, right? Because like, it's hard to just be like, just give them a call. It doesn't matter like what you say, because it obviously does, but there's an art behind it. And over time, everyone creates their own like sales art, if you will, and everyone sells differently. And just because I, couldn't sell to a certain client doesn't mean my colleague can't sell to them. They might really love him and not like me, you know what I mean? And that's happened before. And, you can't take offense to it. Like everyone's different, and you're going to basically accumulate the clients that love working with you and that you love selling to. And those relationships go a really long way in business, because sales is all about referrals as well. So hopefully you get some referral business out of those too.
Pretty dope. Sarah, somebody's listening to this and they're a sales leader and they feel they can benefit from what you guys have to offer. Why don't you give us a quick little pitch, your soapbox on Pareto?
Yeah, so Pareto, we're a global sales performance organization, and we basically help clients in 3 main ways. So the first is our bread and butter, which is pretty much hiring SDR and BDR talent. Secondly, we do senior sales hiring, pretty much from your account executive to VP of sales. And then last but not least, we're a fully fledged sales training organization. So once we actually place those SDRs, BDRs, managers with you, we'll actually then partner with you to train them for the first 12 months to ensure their success in the organization as well.
Dope. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Go ahead and connect with Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. And she's also, you're killing it on TikTok as well as on LinkedIn. So they can find you.
Thanks,
there as well.
Donald.
Sarah, appreciate it. Got to go make some cold calls Friday.
Same here. Bye.
Ooh, that lemonade on that Friday, man. I'm telling you, Sarah gave us some great insights today, and I really would like for you to try it. Now, again, caution you, I'm not telling you, or Sarah's not telling you at the very beginning of your career to go abandon your process, but what we are telling you is to be in the moment. Don't be afraid of having conversations, engaging with your prospects in a human, in a natural, in a normal way, and that's what's working. So check it out. Tell me what you like about it, and you can connect with Sarah on LinkedIn as well. and you can follow her on TikTok and all the other platforms. As always, I want you to thrive and I want you to succeed. I want you to check out our sponsors because, listen, they're giving you stuff that works because truly they've worked for us, and this is why I'm evangelizing about it. More importantly, we want you to improve your selling capabilities. And if you have a content idea, something you feel you want to get more of, go ahead and drop a message. You can find me on LinkedIn, Donald C. Kelly. We have our sales mastermind starting up, and if you'd like to take advantage of that, find more information as well. As always, I want you to thrive and succeed. I want you to go out, raise your level of thinking, and do big things. See you on the next one.